Australia launched its own peace plan. Britain sent diplomats to Cambodia for the first time in 15 years. However, at international conferences, a different game was being played, as one diplomat put it. Ministers from Britain and other Western governments actually reinforced Cambodia's isolation by treating the Khmer Rouge not as international criminals, but, to quote Mrs. Thatcher in an unguarded moment, as reasonable people who will have to play some part in a future Cambodian government. A term was invented to help cover Western deceit. The term is comprehensive settlement. It means that no settlement is acceptable to the West and China unless the Khmer Rouge are given a share of power in Cambodia before elections are held. This is the equivalent of inviting the Nazis to take part in the reunification of Germany. In other words, by allowing him to manipulate international diplomacy, the West has given Pol Pot a veto over peace in Cambodia, and as a result, he has come within an ace of achieving his aims. This is Kompong Spur province. 1 year ago, when we were here, the villages along this road were considered secure. Today, the Khmer Rouge are all around, and this is the front line less than 50 miles from the capital, Phnom Penh. The Khmer Rouge have captured several villages. They've separated men and women, held forced marriages, and enslaved able-bodied people. Those trying to escape have been shot. Anyone seriously injured from stepping on Khmer Rouge mines has been shot or simply left to die. As Western diplomacy has sought ways of accommodating the Khmer Rouge, their shadow grows longer here where there is no diplomacy.
The situation is worse than it was a year ago. The Khmer Rouge are putting mines in paddy fields, and the number of casualties is increasing every day. Every organisation working with people is worried stiff about the number of amputees, deaths and serious injury. Red Cross has estimated that there are at least 100,000 displaced people, and the indications are that number will increase if the war goes on and the fear of Khmer Rouge remains. So the situation is deteriorating, and still no large-scale aid is going from the West to assist the people of that country.
In the last year, Cambodians have gained a new distinction. With the Lebanese, they are now the most disabled people in the world. From stepping on mines, there are now 80 new amputees every day. Can you tell me about this man? What happened to him?
This man go to the field, not rice field, to the field for do the field and plant
some wheat.
Yes. And in this moment he catch the mine. The mine.
And it blew off his leg. Yeah.
And he lost the leg.
What will happen to him when he goes back to his village?
He cannot nourish the...
He cannot feed his family.
He feed his family.
Cannot feed his family.
He think maybe his wife. Right, and sometimes the son.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did his family survive the Pol Pot years?
Yeah, he lost 6 family members during Pol Pot year.
The great political changes in Europe are bad news for Cambodia. Until recently, the Soviet Union and its former allies in Eastern Europe helped to keep this country going. 10 years ago, it was the Soviet Union that saved much of Cambodia from starvation. Since then, the Russians have supplied up to 80% of vital materials, such as medical equipment and drugs. Now this aid is being withdrawn. In the New World Order, the Russians can no longer afford to help the enemies of their new friends.
This patient is wounded by explosion of mine in the mission, in the battlefield.
Yes,
yeah,
I see. Yeah. And how has that affected him?
The brain out for the.
I see. So, yeah. Will he survive, do you think? You don't think so?
Yeah.
I see.
Cannot.
Could you tell me about
hardly survive.
perhaps this lady here?
This woman is wounded by Sujong from when she go to the field this year.
Rice field.
Rice field, yes.
And this is her infant here on the bed.
Con cô đấy. Đây là
She's son.
her son.
Her son.
How old is she?
She's 23 years old.
Minister, the arms that you are facing on the battlefield from the Khmer Rouge and their allies, what countries are supplying them?
បាទចំពោះបញ្ហានេះគឺខ្ញុំសូមជម្រាប
The weapons used against us by the Khmer Rouge
អាវុធ
have brand names and trademarks
ខ្មែរក្រហម
which show that they come from Western countries, including France, Sweden and West Germany.
ភូមិកររបស់ប្រជាជនកម្ពុជាកន្លងមកនេះ
We understood that most of the arms come from China, but this is not the impression that we're getting here today.
ជាការត្រឹមត្រូវណាស់គឺពួកគ្រឿងអាវុធដែលកំពុង
That's right. The guerrillas aren't only using Chinese weapons, they're also getting weapons from Western countries.
ប្រទេសចិនប៉ុណ្ណឹងទេគឺមកតាមបណ្ដាប្រទេសនៃលោកខាងលិច
Are you certain then that weapons being supplied from Western sources to the so-called non-communist resistance either get to or directly assist the Khmer Rouge on the battlefield?
រឿងនេះគឺសូមអះអាងពិតប្រាកដក្នុងសមរភូមិដែលខ្ញុំបានវាយប្រហារទៅ
It is very obvious in the battlefield that all three factions, including the Khmer Rouge, are using the same weapons.
ហ្នឹងគឺគ្រឿងអាវុធហ្នឹងគឺវាបានប្រើប្រាស់ដូចគ្នា
អាវុធទាំងអស់នេះគឺច្រើននៅប្រទេសខាងលិចលោកខាងលិច
All these weapons came from Western countries who supply arms to the KPNLF and the Khmer Rouge.
ហើយនឹងពួកប៉ុលពត
Of course, we captured many weapons like these on the battlefield, but we've only brought some of them here to Phnom Penh to show people.
យើងគ្រាន់តែ
The rest we use to defend ourselves.
យកមកដើម្បីយកមកកាន់
And they're very sophisticated weapons too. There's the German anti-tank weapon, a Swedish anti-tank weapon, and these are French. The discovery of these arms, which include American weapons, set us off on a journey around the world, revealing direct American and British involvement in the return of Pol Pot. Of all the mysteries surrounding support for Pol Pot, two questions are outstanding. How and why Western arms are getting to the Khmer Rouge? The evidence we have tells us to begin in Europe, here in Bonn, capital of Germany. What is the German connection with Cambodia?
Well, West German government is still supporting the Khmer Rouge, or the coalition government. It's a totally immoral position, but the government can afford it because people don't know nothing about Cambodia and West Germany, and there's the political support, and then the more vital and more effective German support for the Khmer Rouge is a weapon called Armbrust, which is an anti-tank missile. It's a very effective weapon of the Khmer Rouge, and the Khmer Rouge use it against the tanks of the government forces, and I found a Khmer Rouge who was really proud of this weapon, who was giving me my congratulations as a West German for this great weapon. So.
Hello, is that Mr. Palinka?
Yes, speaking.
I called the German arms manufacturer, MBB, to ask how their weapons got to Cambodia. Just to say that I've returned from Cambodia recently with new information, which I would like to pass along to you, and also to say that I'm recording this conversation for accuracy. Right. We came upon in Cambodia armbrust weapons, and I have a serial number which I'd like to give to you, and perhaps you could help us with the origin of this particular weapon.
Okay.
The full inscription is Lot Arm A 8404060793.
Well, we can't comment on the serial number because it's not our serial number.
This had come about, the company spokesman revealed, because MBB had sold the license to make the weapon to a Belgian company called PRB, whose headquarters are in Brussels.